World War II is happening and the Allies are getting close to Berlin. But all of a sudden, a light beam comes from the sky and turns every soldier on that field into ash. Let me introduce you to a weapon called the sun gun. The sun gun was a weapon that the Germans wanted to build. They even built the concept version. But they never actually got to finish it and use it. The Nazis had a plan to put a giant mirror in space and they could easily control it from the Earth. Exactly like a space station. And whenever they want, they could make the sunbeam magnified and pointed to wherever they want. If you remember as a kid, the kids would grab magnifying glass and then they would burn different things with the sunbeam. They could even light fire with it. This was exactly the Nazi idea, but multiply that by millions and more powerful. Before World War II, you could say Germany was the most advanced place in the world. The ideas they had were insane and unique. They were the first country to say we have to be in space, and it was the first country that started the rocket technology. And the sun gun idea was the space plan for them. They first wanted to create a space station and add this weapon to it. The idea was that there would be astronauts on board in that space station, and whatever Berlin suggested, they would point the mirror to wherever they want and destroy them. You have to know that the ISS rotates around the Earth every 90 minutes. Its speed is 28,000 kilometers an hour. In that case, it had a chance to turn anywhere it wanted to a fire hell. The sun gun was originally the idea of Hermann Oberth, and he came up with it in 1929. His goal was to use the sun gun to create energy, but when the Nazis heard this idea, they thought it would be the greatest weapon in the world. They said if this was ready, we could easily wipe out a 500,000 population city, and that's at a very short period of time. Some people might say this is a lie and this doesn't belong to the German, but you have to know, the first time that a space station was mentioned, it was by German scientists, and that was in the 1930s. And what you see in the ISS today, they had those ideas back then as well. Like in the German writings, they wrote, we have to grow plants on the space station so there's food and oxygen. And right now, it's exactly like that. Another idea they had back then that's very well known today are solar panels and how we can use the sun energy. They knew that the space station would have a very high speed and the only energy it could use is the sun. You guys remember Hermann Oberth, a genius physicist that gave the idea of the sun gun. But this physicist had a lot of cool ideas. He even had the idea of the rocket that's gonna take everything to space. But any idea he came up with, the Nazis wanted to take it and make it war related. He wanted a mirror in space for energy, but they made it into a sun gun. He created rockets to go to space, and they said that would be good ballistic missiles. Hermann Oberth was not stoked about this. They said whatever ideas we give out, they want to take it like little kids and make it war related. And that's actually in his writings. And that is why he spoke with other physicists to write the Nazis that we haven't even got to space. Let's get to space first, then we can make a space station. And after that, we can put a giant mirror and burn everybody. The letter that they sent was effective, and the main focus went on the rockets. And they were successful in making the first rocket ever, which is called the V2 rocket, and it went to space in September 1944. We could say V2 was the first ballistic missile as well. These rockets went to space, but the other rockets did not go to space. But it went to London, Antwerp in Belgium, and Liège in Belgium, and that caused 21,000 people to die. But their hope with the V2 was that, so it goes to space and they could focus on the space station, and the quicker they could get the sun gun up there. The funny part is that they had the budget set and it was paid for. 3 million German marks, and that's $116 million in today's money. If you've seen our video about the mustard gas, you have to know that the Nazis were very organized and they would publish everything. And the sun gun and the space station was all published. Their plan was to send the supplies into space so they can get started on the space station, and the astronauts could start living up there. And after that, the sun gun pieces could be sent up there one by one. And then the astronauts could literally assemble the sun gun. And based on the writings, the sun gun could be in space and ready to use before 1950. And you could say if the Nazis were not defeated, right now there would be a sun gun above you and nobody would have anything bad to say about the Nazis because they would be barbecued. Germany's technology is becoming at its best, but the Germans themselves are being defeated by the armies. The Allies are getting close to Berlin. And you guys already know, a few months after all this, on April 1945, the Germans are defeated and the Allies enter Berlin. Just think about it, the Allies have Germany now, the most advanced country before that. Technology that has been published everywhere, and they have files of them. All these technologies got in the hands of the Allies, most of them to the US and a little bit of them to the Soviets. But these scientists, and some of them were murderers, they stayed alive and they gave all their knowledge to the Allies. Some of them were forced and some of them willingly. Like the physicist we were talking about, Hermann Oberth, he was not the bad ones and he didn't kill people. That is why he wasn't arrested and he could stay in Germany. But he gave all his knowledge about all the things he knew to America, especially NASA. He was also one of the physicists that helped NASA land on the moon. Hermann Oberth would say that he's glad the Nazis were defeated because they wanted us to create things that destroys humans. He wanted to help out humanity, not destroy it. He even pitched the idea of the sun gun to NASA themselves, and not for killing people, but for energy. But NASA never followed up with the idea. It's good to know that the knowledge that the Soviets had was not theirs. A lot of German scientists were imprisoned there and they were forced to give their knowledge away. And they even worked for them. We're not talking about the bad and the good of the Nazis, but they had insane technology and they had a lot of knowledge about our world. Like the knowledge they left about medicine, they really helped out humanity, but it was knowledge that came from pain and suffering. If you've seen our Angel of Death video or Joseph Mengele, you'll know that what kind of experiments they ran on prisoners and how much they made the people suffer.